to discuss about the dispersion and the absolute measurement of dispersion, relative measurement of dispersion. So first I will discuss what is the meaning of dispersion. So far we have discussed about the scope of statistics, different data representation, how to data collect and how they are classified, all these kinds of sources of collection of data and in what way you can classify the data, all these kinds of things we have discussed. Disperse, what is the meaning of disperse? Means scattered, everything is scattered. So always we are like parents tell you at home that you have to arrange it, you have to collect it, you have to organize your data. So main thing is how to organize the data. So first we will know how the data are scattered, how the data are dispersed, and then how to measure them. The measurement formulas are different. First formula I have written, that is your absolute measure of dispersion. Second is known as relative measure of dispersion. So first, dispersion means it is the degree of scatterness of values about a values. So degree of scatterness and how the data are arranged in a order or not in order, but you have to take a particular value, and with that value what is the relation of that value with other value. So if that value may be mean, that may be median, that may be mode, because we have already discussed in the classes how many formulas and how to derive the formulas and how to calculate mean, median, mode. These are the statistical basic parameters. If the data is organized, it's not organized, then you can arrange it, either it is in ascending or descending order. Then if the data is grouped or ungrouped, or it is discrete or continuous data. So many types of data we have discussed in the classes, how to calculate mean, median, mode. So this is about if the data is not organized, then you can say the data are in dispersed mode. So in that case, degree of scatterness is known as dispersion. So now you will know what are the advantages of dispersion. If the data is not in ordered way, that is scattered, you are getting a large amount of data, that is also some kind of advantages lies behind that. And if data is organized form, that is also some advantages and disadvantages that. So we can discuss how to measure the degree of dispersion. There are two ways I have written. One is absolute measure of dispersion, second one is relative measures of dispersion. So absolute measure of dispersion will discuss how the data are measured in absolute value, and the relative measurement is quite calculated from absolute measure of dispersion. So absolute and relative measures, they are quite interrelated. Absolute measurement, first you have to calculate, like range, standard deviation, quartile deviation, all these things are known as coming under absolute dispersion. And then the coefficient of standard deviation, like one is your range and second one is your quartile, third one is your standard deviation. These are coming under absolute dispersion. Absolute dispersion. And fourth one is your like quartile deviation. Now you will discuss in relative dispersion. Relative dispersion, we will discuss coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation. Instead of quartile, you will get quartile deviation. So you can find range or variance. Fourth part you can write variance. And now you will discuss here coefficient of variation, then coefficient of range, third one is coefficient of quartile, quartile deviation. So here you can see the difference, what measurements we are doing in absolute deviation and what measurements we are doing like in relative measurement. So these are the difference between the absolute value. So you can see from mathematics, you know that absolute means mod. So the measurement can never be a negative value, it will always be a positive value. Mod of anything that becomes positive. If it is positive value, then mod of or absolute value of that value will be positive. If absolute value of negative quantity is there, then that value is also positive. So first we will discuss about range. I have already discussed while finding mean, median, mode that range means the higher value minus lower value. Higher value minus lower value. This is the very short form. The definition is like that. In any class interval data, you can find one higher value and one lower value. So the range is higher value minus lower value. Then you go to like quartiles, that is also a very important part of deviation. Quartile deviation is quite lengthy to find out. There are so many types of formulas in quartile deviation. This is one kind of formula that is derived from assumed mean, assumed median. Mean and median quite impose very important role in finding the quartile deviation part. We'll do very numericals. After doing your standard deviation and variation part, you can do the problems of quartile deviation part. Then standard deviation, which is the very important part in statistics, but everywhere you go for any kind of data analysis or data investigation part, you are asked to find out the standard deviation of any database. So in that case, I will also tell you how to find out the standard deviation formula. There are so many formulas starting from very simple data to class interval data. It is the so many important formulas for linear data and otherwise group data. So standard deviation plays very important role in statistical database. Fourth part is variance. Standard deviation and variance, they are very interrelated, because you know that standard deviation, if you write it as sigma, it is denoted as sigma, variance is sigma square. So variance, if you calculate, then that will be the square root the variance, they will get the standard deviation. So you can find out variance of any database, of any organized data. Then you can put the formula of mean and summation of frequency, then you can calculate the variance. If you square root the value of variance, you will get the standard deviation part. So now we will discuss how to find out mean deviation, average deviation, or you can say as mean deviation. What is the formula for mean deviation? Mean deviation. Minus mean mod divided by x. This is known as your mean deviation. X minus mean divided by n, summation of. So n means summation f, which is known as sum of frequencies. So this is the mean deviation about mean. Mean deviation about mean. So in this way you can calculate mean deviation, first formula. You can calculate mean deviation about median. Mean deviation about median. You can calculate summation x minus median divided by n. So this is the mean deviation, but that is about median. If that means if you have the mean value, you can calculate the mean deviation. If you have the median value, you can also calculate deviation part. If you have mode value also, instead of median, third part you can write mean deviation, third formula, that is summation of x minus mod divided by n. So n is summation of frequency. This is always in capital N denotes summation of frequency. You can calculate it. And these are the three formulas about mean, median, mode. So x minus mean means what? X minus mean means x minus mean mod. You can write sum of mean deviations of all data from mean. This is sum of mean deviations from all data from mean. So that will be calculated. If it is a negative quantity also, and the mod of that values will also be positive. So don't worry about that if you are getting a negative value after deviating from mean data. In that way, summation of x minus median, if I write summation x minus median, that means sum of, you have to find out first the median of the values given in their observation. So first we find out the median. I have already told you how to find out median. If the data is odd, then n plus 1 by 2th data will be the median value. If the data is even, then n by 2 plus n plus 1 by 2th data and divided by 2, taking average of that values, you will get the median value. After you finding median value, then that will be x minus median, then taking the absolute value. That means from the median value you first find out the deviation, then sum of the deviations, then divided by capital N, then you will get the mean deviation part. So this is all about your mean deviation about mean deviation about median, mean deviation about mode. Then coefficient of mean deviation. How to find out the coefficient of mean deviation? That means mean deviation by mean. So coefficient of deviation is coming under relative dispersion. So that is a part of relative dispersion. So you can write coefficient of variation means, you can write mean deviation, whatever the value you are getting in mean deviation divided by mean. So like this you can find out the mean deviation about median divided by median. If you are considering median is an important part, then you have to calculate mean deviation about median divided by median. If you are signifying about mode value, then you have to calculate coefficient of variation, that is mean deviation about mode, and then you have to mean deviation about mode divided by mode. So this is about coefficient of mean deviation. Coefficient of mean deviation. This is about coefficient of those. This is all the things are coming under coefficient of variations. So what are the merits and demerits of this mean deviation and how they are related with relative measurement? So mean deviation is easy to understand and calculate because everybody knows how to calculate whether it is a linear data or it is a continuous data, whether it is a group data or ungrouped data. You very well know how to find out the mean value. So from that you can find out mean deviation, and mean deviation by mean you can calculate coefficient of mean deviation. It is very less affected by the extreme values, and the mean deviation about the arbitrary point is the arbitrary point also you can calculate. Likewise the same thing, the way you are calculating mean, you can calculate median by putting the formulas, and instead of mean deviation you are calculating about the mean, you can calculate about the median, then divided by median value you can find out the coefficient of median. So what are the demerits? Because it's like taking mean of a very positive and negative quantity, you might be confused that how to find out the absolute values, and so the mean deviation does not give the accurate results because it also considers the positive as well as negative values. So mean deviation sometimes is very useful for statistical reference. So somewhere mean deviation and coefficient of mean deviation, then variance, coefficient of variance, these values are quite an important role in statistical computations. So first I can show you the example how to calculate mean deviation. Suppose some datas are there like 18, 20, 70, any kind of random data you can take, then find out the mean value and then divided by deviations. Then you can calculate the coefficient of mean deviations. Suppose like you can take the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the very linear data I have taken x, and then find out the deviation, that is x minus x bar. So like this is given 1 x bar. You can calculate how to find out x bar. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 5. So 15 I think by 5, that is your 3. So you can calculate 1 minus 3. How it is calculated? It is given minus 2, 2 minus 3, that is minus 1, 3 minus 3, that is 0, 4 minus 3, that is 1, 5 minus 3, that is 1. So you can find out summation of x minus x bar. Summation of x minus x bar you can calculate. Then mean deviation divided by n. N means summation f. How many times it is occurring? That is 1 times occurring. So n will be 5. So you can find out summation is your like minus 2 minus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1. You can calculate like this, taking the mod value of this. So you have to calculate mod value divided by 5 is 3. Minus 1 mod by 5, minus 1 is coming up plus 1 by 5, that is 0.2. So you can find out the mean deviation here, it is calculated 0.2. So this is the calculation of the absolute. First you see how I have calculated d of x minus x bar. You can add another column by taking mod d. You can calculate like this, mod d of every data, like minus 2 mod, that will be plus 2, minus 1 mod, that will be plus 1, 0 absolute value is 0, positive 1, it is coming under 1, and positive 2 also you can get the value 2. Then adding all these values you will get summation of x minus x bar and divided by n, that will be giving to your mean deviation value. Then how to find out coefficient of mean deviation? Coefficient of mean deviation means whatever the mean deviation value you are getting, like 0.2 here, then coefficient of mean deviation here will be coefficient of mean deviation. Again you can divide 0.2 divided by mean. So mean is coming like 3, 0.2 by 3. So you can write 0.0667. You can write like this. So this is about your coefficient of mean deviation. So this is very easy to understand the formulas of mean deviation and coefficient of mean deviation. So this calculation of mean deviation is coming under absolute dispersion, and relative dispersion undergoes the finding values of coefficient of mean deviation. So there are so many formulas to calculate the median value also and the mode value also. So in regard of median and mode value, you can calculate the mode deviation, median deviation, then dividing by median value you will get the coefficient, then dividing by mode value you will get coefficient of mode deviation. So these are about the relative dispersion and absolute dispersion. I think you can understand it very easily, and we can discuss so many numericals. You can do very simple problems to understand how absolute measurement and relative measurement are quite interrelated. So you can now understand. So before going to coefficient of finding any value, first you have to calculate absolute dispersion, means mean deviation. First you have to calculate, then only you can calculate coefficient of mean deviation value.